The live streaming is up and running. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Alison. Have we got any apologies?
I haven't got everybody's here. We're all present.
Everybody's here. Good, thank you. Any declarations of interest, please? I'll take that as a no. Item 3, to approve the minutes of the meeting of this committee held on the 28th of July 2020 and a special meeting on the 10th of November 2020. Anyone prepared to move them?
Seconded.
Thank you very much. All agreed? Can't see anybody saying no. Thank you. To approve the minutes of the meetings of the General Licence Subcommittee 28th of July 2020, 8th of September 2020, 20th of October 2020 and the 1st of December 2020. Will somebody move those, please?
I will. Seconded.
Thank you very much. I'll second that.
Chair, can we just, Chair, sorry, Chair, there was the 10th of November General Committee minutes as well. There was 2 sets for the General.
Right,
there was the 28th and the 10th.
Okay, so we'll include the 10th of November as well. All agreed?
Agreed.
Thanks, councillors.
Review of taxi licence fees 2021 to 22. I'll find the page. Any comments on the licensing fees? Anyone?
I think, Chair, is Colin introducing this report?
Oh, he's here, is he? I thought he was on holiday. Okay. Where are you, Colin?
Morning, Chair. Yeah, sorry, I was going to be on holiday, but there's nowhere to go, nothing to do, so I thought I would attend this. I can take you through the report if you like.
Yes, please.
Morning, everybody. This is to invite members to determine the fees for Hackney Carriage private hire drivers and vehicles and operators for the financial year starting in April. This is an annual review that we're required to do. We do review our fees for all licensing regimes, but this is specifically for taxis as a requirement under the local government legislation. And this is in relation to costs to administer and enforce the relevant taxi legislation. Just a little bit about the licensing regime. We cover the A to Z of licensing, so apart from 1 or 2 licensing regimes, all licensing within Darlington is covered by ourselves. And we can recover all the costs for providing the taxi licensing service, including administration and, where applicable, enforcement. If there is a surplus, it must be carried forward. The budget is ring-fenced, so this can't be used to fund a different licensing regime. We can charge a lower fee, however, this can't come from other business areas. So generally, we like to just work towards cost recovery where possible. The licensing committee have delegated powers to fix the fees, and that is from full council, which was granted on the 28th of January 2016. So a bit of information in relation to licensing over the past 12 months. We've seen unprecedented changes as a result of COVID. We've had to have different ways of working, remote working. We've had to maintain the licensing function throughout. The hospitality trade has been particularly badly hit, and taxis are an integral part of the hospitality, particularly in relation to the nighttime economy. At the beginning of the COVID pandemic, one of our licensing officers left. So although this has given us a cost saving, it's actually put a lot more pressure on the department during that time to maintain the function. And we haven't been able to recruit until very recently because of all of the restrictions. So licensing fees, there are a range of things that we can include for licensing fees, and I've included those in the report, and these are recommended from the local government association in a document called Open for Business. And when we arrive at the fees, we actually carry out some detailed analysis, and that continues for each of the licensing regimes over the 12 months. The current situation with the finances is that there is a combined deficit of over £11,000. That's covering all of the taxi licensing, so that covers private hire, Hackney Carriage and operators. We've made very an estimate of the amount of loss of income because of COVID to the taxi budget, and we estimate that to be in the region of £22,000. When we've done our projections, if we've take out of the equation the COVID, we'd probably have a surplus of just over £10,000, but this clearly has been wiped out by COVID because people aren't renewing licenses. There's a lot of uncertainty, and they may well not. They may choose to leave the business altogether. Where there's been a degree of stability in previous years, where we could actually make the predictions, it's been extremely difficult this year. So it has been. There has been some guesswork involved just to try and to work out where we might be in the coming year. As I mentioned, the vacant officer position has relieved a little bit of pressure from the budget. However, it is still likely to be in deficit. When we do have a deficit, our normal response would be that we would increase the license fees to recover that deficit, so that we do operate on cost neutral basis. However, that doesn't have to be the case year on year, because there's a case, Hemmings versus Westminster, which said a local authority does not have to adjust the licence fee every year to reflect previous deficit or surplus, as long as it all comes out in the wash eventually. So hopefully we will get a bit of stability over the next couple of years, and we can establish how the licensing has been impacted with COVID. So the proposal, Chair, is whereas because we are in the deficit, we ordinarily would be looking at a fee increase. The proposal is for us to maintain the current levels, because we are able to, we're hopefully able to recover some of the deficit, if not all of the deficit, from a central fund, which will hopefully allow us to continue the function as normal over the coming years. So the recommendation that I'm making to the members is to approve that the taxi licensing fees continue at the current rate from the 1st of April. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Colin. Any questions, members? Councillor Lee? You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you again. Good morning, Colin. Colin, the deficit of £11,291, is that a result of the taxi drivers not paying the licence, or is it a result in a number of taxi drivers coming out of the business altogether, so there's no need for it to pay it? In other words, if they've hung up the taxi.
It's a result of those choosing not to renew at this stage.
Yeah.
There are those who we realise have left. They're not going to renew. There's those who may well just hold back a little bit to find out what the situation is going to be like. We do know that we've lost taxi drivers to other companies which have started within Darlington, which has given a bit of them as drivers a bit more stability. But what we are hoping is that there will be those people, particularly in the hospitality trade, that they are going to lose their jobs if businesses can't reopen. They may well choose to actually come into the taxi trade. So it may well be that things will balance out once we get through the pandemic, and hopefully that deficit will be hopefully close to cost neutral at the end.
I suppose the ultimate thing is as the deficit is normally repaid by the taxi driver licenses in the fullness of time, if the numbers drop that dramatically and that money has got to be found, it means quite a large increase in taxi licenses at some time in the future, does it not?
It potentially could, but then we'd have to balance things out. If we've got a reduced number of taxi drivers, do we need the administration support? So we'd have to look at the whole business model, and there would be a detailed analysis if we were to need to increase the fees. But at the moment, there's so much uncertainty. We really we can't predict what's going to happen. We thought that we may well be in a better position by the end of 2020. Then we've gone into a further lockdown, so it's actually just continued to make things difficult for us.
Yeah, thanks very much, Colin.
Thank you. Councillor Crumbie, did I see your hand up? No? Okay. Councillor Hughes?
Thank you, Chair. I just have a question in relation to the vacant position for a replacement licensing enforcement officer, because my concern, obviously, one of our main duties is protection of the public. And I'm concerned that if we are one enforcement officer down, are we sure that the traveling public are safe? There is a really important responsibility that taxi drivers have in relation to risk assessments. They're very onerous, and also there's comprehensive guidance from government on keeping passengers safe. Can you clarify the role of the licensing officer? Should they be doing things like that? And if we are one down, isn't that having an impact? And you said that recruitment hasn't been possible, but have we even thought about internal recruitment rather than outside if that had been an issue? I'd just like a little bit more information about that, please.
Yeah, certainly. We went external for recruited. We actually interviewed via Teams, we social distance, and it was down to we had two final candidates, and they both withdrew. We went internal, and we've recruited internally, and that person started with us yesterday. To reassure you, just throughout the pandemic, we have had a licensing enforcement officer, but also Brian and I have stepped into those roles as well. So there's been no gaps. Things have been quieter on the streets, as you can imagine. A lot of our work has actually been around providing business advice, particularly to generally to the licensing trade, but trying to keep up to date with the guidelines, feeding that out to the taxi trade. So I can reassure you that when we haven't had the direct licensing officer, Brian and I are able to step straight into that role to continue it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin. Councillor Snedker.
Yeah, just a quick question about the new online taxi licensing system. The whole kit and caboodle was getting updated. We were informed last year. I just wanted to know whether the downturn in activity for licensing has given you an opportunity to move forward on that faster, or has COVID disrupted activity on that? Is it been delayed? And also, we were doing this for two reasons. One, it would be much more efficient, and also it would encourage and facilitate taxi drivers choosing to license through Darlington rather than these authorities in other parts of the country, which seem to be mopping up revenue and licensing via some super efficient thing that lets you license in a matter of hours. So I wonder if you could just sort of flesh out a little bit of what the progress is with that online taxi licensing system is. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. It was approved just before COVID, so work progressed. It's not so much in our hands; it's in the hands of our IT department and the provider, which is iDocs. Where we are at the moment is that the system is currently being tested, so it is pretty much on track from where we wanted to be. There were a few issues in relation to compatibility with our current systems for payment and the new online system, which have been overcome. So we are still online, hopefully to bring it to have it fully online by spring, but it's certainly not from the local authorities' point. It's purely down to any delays will be down to the provider iDocs, and at the moment I don't think there's any issues that we've identified which is going to delay that process. We may well find that it will be a little bit of slippage, but hopefully not too much.
Thank you, Colin. I don't see any further hands up. Okay, I'll move to the recommendation. Members are invited to approve that the taxi licensing fees will continue at the current rate from the 1st of April 2021. All agreed?
Agreed.
Lots of nodding and
Agreed.
Agreed.
Right, excellent. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Thank you. There are no supplementary items that I'm aware of. You've got nothing, have you, Alison?
Sorry, Chair. Yeah, no, confirm no supplementary items.
Okay. Any questions, members? Councillor Hughes, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering if we have any information in relation to taxi drivers stepping up and doing really valiant things during this terrible time. And if we do have anything like that, it might be an idea if this committee actually commend them and thank them for that work. It's just an idea. Thanks.
Good point, Councillor Hughes. I appreciate that. Yes. Colin, any ideas? Any?
Yeah, we can discuss it within the team and get back in touch if that's okay.
That's fine. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Councillor Snedker.
Yeah, just to carry on from that, I was able to volunteer at the vaccination centre, New Feetham's House, at the weekend, and there was quite a number of 1AB taxi drivers, as well as volunteer drivers from the community, and DAD were using their adapted vehicle as well. It was amazing. It was very well run, and taxi drivers definitely played their part on the day. So warm thanks from me on that one.
Okay, excellent stuff. Thank you. Anyone else? No hands up. Thank you very much. Well, short and sweet the meeting, but thank you all for attending. Meeting closed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alison.